All right.
Okay, looks like we're live. Welcome everybody to Constant Collectible Spoil It episode 007, where we are calling this tonight We Have All Gone Rogue. As we've advertised on Twitter and on our various social media websites, this episode Spoil It is over Rogue One, Star Wars Rogue One. So, welcome to Spoil It, episode 7, where we see dead people. I am Chad, and usually I am joined with Simon, but he's feeling under the weather today, so he'll be just producing. He's the man behind the cameras, all of them. So usually Simon and I chit chat back and forth a little bit. So Simon, how you doing? I'm doing good. Okay, let's move on with that. So tonight we're joined by Hannah Heath. Hannah, how you doing?
Hey, I'm great.
And for the first time, we're joined by Johnny and Susanna.
Hello.
Hey, guys.
So that's pretty cool. We got the whole gang here tonight. Luckily, we just don't have Simon talking, so we'll be good. So tonight's topic is Rogue One, which is Lucasfilm's version of Suicide Squad. Just a brief synopsis over Rogue One, and that is the Rebel Alliance makes a risky move to steal the plans for the Death Star, setting up the epic saga to follow. This film was budgeted at $200 million. Its opening weekend, Rogue One pulled in just over $155 million domestic in ticket sales. Currently sitting just under $400 million worldwide in ticket sales. So doing pretty good for just a week and a half or so, almost 2 weeks. Now this is a film done by Gareth Edwards, known for Monsters in 2010 and Godzilla in 2014. So just real quick, what do you guys think so far?
I loved it. I think, it was one of my favorites, possibly my favorite Star Wars movie. I'm really happy with it.
What do you think, Johnny?
Yeah, honestly, there's the order that you watch the movies in. I've always been the one who watches 4 or 5, watches the prequels as a flashback, and then watches 6. This one's going to start the whole sequence for me now. This is my favorite. After Empire, this is probably my favorite now.
So you watched the Machete order.
That's right. Yeah. I don't know where 7 fits into the Machete order, though.
Yeah.
Do you?
It's going to be the very last one.
I guess, yeah.
What about you, Susanna? What did you think?
I really liked it. Yeah, I was actually impressed. I think I had low expectations, which is why I actually think I would give it like a 4.5 out of a 5-star rating. Yeah, it was really good. I was impressed.
You had low expectations.
I did.
That's okay. Forgiveness can be given. So, for those who don't know, the screenplay was done by Chris Weitz, known for About a Boy in 2002 and Cinderella in 2014. Also by Tony Gilroy, known for the Bourne series. Yes, good series. I have not, unfortunately, seen the last one just yet. So, which I think you did, Susanna, right?
No.
Oh,
I did, though.
Yeah,
it was pretty good. Not as good as the original, but hey, Matt Damon, I'll take it.
Matt Damon.
Yep, pretty much.
So the story was done by John Knoll, known for his work as visual effects supervisor at ILM, and he's worked on all the prequels, episodes 1, 2, and 3, and also Gary Whitta, known for the Book of Eli, which was pretty good, and also the upcoming Sherlock Holmes 3. Of course, all of this is based off George Lucas's characters. So, Johnny, you want to give us a rundown of the actors?
Yeah. So up front was Jyn Erso. Sounded like Jane the whole movie. Felicity Jones played her, and she was in Theory of Everything. And the moment that I heard that, I realized, oh my gosh, I know who this person is. And before, I thought she was kind of some unknown. That was kind of cool to see her in a more action role, because she did an amazing job. Then we had Diego Luna was playing Cassian Andor. The reason we felt like this was a war film was because of him. His conscience and being an assassin for the rebels it wasn't that cut and dry black and white good and bad because of him, and he did that really well. But Donnie Yen played Chirrut Imwe. Am I saying that right? I think so. But he was the monk, and he played Ip Man for 3 movies, I believe, and just in Hong Kong, he's the star of every movie. So he obviously he did a great job. But Runaway, Alan Tudyk,
the blind guy.
Yeah, the blind monk. Just trust the force, which I think that's an amazing role. What do you guys think about that? How he played with the force, that character?
I thought he was cool, but did you think he was a little bit underdeveloped?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At first I was like, oh, is he a Jedi? But I was like, well, no. I don't know.
Well, what he is, he's a blind monk, dedicated to the Force, obviously, and he is a Force-sensitive gentleman. And so he does feel the Force. He does know how to use it. He's not a trained Jedi per se. But obviously with the moves that, he took down some stormtroopers, dodging some blaster fire, the guy obviously knew how to use the Force. So a very well put together character. But the awesome thing is that it does leave open a comic book series which they're developing for him and for, I believe it was Baze.
Oh wow!
It's more of a backstory.
Oh, that would be really cool.
Do you think they're going to show up in Rebels?
I don't personally think they will. I think it's going to be something that is going to be more short-lived within a comic book series.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, we saw, one cool thing is, too, he used the Force kind of like how Maz did, right? I mean, not really a Jedi, but knows the Force.
They all have their strong points, yeah, but they're not formally trained, Force users or Jedi, so. But, yeah, the rest of the cast, just rounding them out real quick, we have Ben Mendelsohn, who is Orson Krennic, Director Krennic. We have Forrest Whitaker, who is brilliant in just about everything he does. He was Saw Gerrera. We have Riz Ahmed, who is Bodhi, the defector, the Imperial defector. And we have Mads Mikkelsen, who is Galen Erso, who he's usually pretty good too. I think the last biggest thing he was in was Doctor Strange, as well as 007's Casino Royale. So the whole purpose of this one show was really to discuss the Easter eggs and all the stuff that we saw that blew our minds, really. So first up, really cool scene. We saw Ponda Bata and Dr. Cornelius. Oh, God, was that guy's last name? Evazan. The 2 guys you saw in the cantina scene in A New Hope who pick a fight with.
Oh, yeah. I was like, where did I see those guys? They were from somewhere else. Yeah.
They stupidly picked a fight with Luke Skywalker, and Obi-Wan took him to town. So what'd you guys think of that scene?
That was great. That cracked me up. And honestly, I didn't know until yesterday that those characters actually had names. So I went home and Googled the 2 guys from A New Hope, and one of them gets their arm cut off. And they have names. Oh my gosh.
Just long Google search.
Yeah.
Well, funny enough, I mean, any character you see within the movies always has a name. They're always mentioned someplace, either on Wikipedia, which is the Star Wars version of Wikipedia, or you have the Star Wars encyclopedias, which there's a full set. I'm actually looking up at my set right now because I am a Star Wars nerd. So, and yes, I actually have that whole set. So I just realized that. But yeah, that scene was brilliant, is awesome, and I love that they're throwing in all this extra stuff to really, entice all the old fans too. Another cool aspect was right when the movie started, you saw Galen's home, and in the background you see blue milk.
Blue milk, yeah. It's the May the 4th drink.
Don't realize where the blue milk comes from, but it comes from, once again, A New Hope. Luke Skywalker, he's with Aunt Beru, Uncle Owen, and the little hovel down underneath the ground, and he's drinking blue milk. Blue milk obviously is made by Banthas. So a lot of people don't realize that either. It's kind of weird.
Does it have a name, or is it literally just like blue space milk?
They just call it blue milk.
Blue milk, okay.
Maybe bantha milk.
Bantha milk? I don't know. But how do they have milk? Are there cows? I've never seen cows in Star Wars.
It's the banthas in A New Hope, like the big woolly animals on Tatooine.
Oh, okay. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the Star Wars version of moo-moos. So.
Oh, all right then.
A big spoiler, which a lot of people didn't catch, not spoiler, but Easter egg, was Chopper. Chopper from Star Wars Rebels on Disney XD. He's a little droid in Rebels who has that front little, almost like a shopping cart wheel that he rolls around on. He was on Yavin at the the Rebel base, secret base, and you saw him briefly in one scene kind of coasting through. The scene was really cool.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple things from Rebels in the movie, right?
Yeah. You also, during that scene, there was a wider shot that came up. You got to see the front end of the Ghost that was, parked off the side next to some X-wings. Mm-hmm. So a lot of cool Easter eggs. Not only top of Chopper, but we have Yavin 4, obviously, which was a huge deal in A New Hope. That was their secret base that the Death Star was on its way to destroy after it destroyed Alderaan. So yeah, we got the Ghost. Another big thing was during those scenes on Yavin 4, there was a PA announcement for General Syndulla, who is Hera Syndulla, who is the green Twi'lek with the head tails, and she's the pilot of the Ghost. What do you guys think of that?
I've never seen Rebels.
Yeah.
No, it's cool to see that it's continuing though, because I want to see. Like my biggest thing from Rebels is to see what happens to Ahsoka. And so I'm hoping that these films will start to see more and more of the things that are being revealed in Rebels, because it's such a rich show, which I did not expect. I thought this was going to be Star Wars, like the kids show. But these movies are picking up on some of the stuff that's happening there. And that means for real Star Wars fans, like there's something to be gleaned from this show that, is being put out by Disney a weekly show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it pulls you into the universe even more, which like choice decisions on that for Disney.
Yeah, it's great that a lot of these big companies like Marvel is also one of them, is tying in their TV shows to the big movies. They do that. Well, they were doing that with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., as well as the other various superhero movies. And Lucasfilm and Disney are starting to do that. With Rebels, with Rogue One, the original saga. They're bringing in the Clone Wars. They're tying all this great stuff, which is really cool, and hopefully they continue to do so. So the great thing about the General Syndulla and seeing the Ghost is that Dave Filoni, who's the overall producer, he oversees all of the Star Wars cartoon stuff, is that he was the one who actually confirmed that in an interview, saying yes, it's her. She eventually gets promoted to a general. That is her ship, and in the space battle that we see, over the planet. And so, not only is everyone catching these small details that the filmmakers are throwing in, but you have the actual people who work for Disney and Lucasfilm that are confirming everything, going yes, that's what it is. That's what it is. So it's really cool. So. Next one, we actually have a lot of stuff, and we kept making this list of stuff that was in there, and it's just unreal. We have the Juggernaut. It's that transport that Jyn was in. You see that through not only various cartoons like the Clone Wars, but you saw it in Revenge of the Sith. So they're bringing back vehicles. I think one of the big Easter eggs was Darth Vader's lair, which I think we all saw. We all kind of like sat back in our chair. I was kind of going, loved it. And of course, the planet that they did confirm was on Mustafar. So, what do you think about Darth Vader having his lair, his personal castle, on the planet where basically he got his butt whipped, got his 2 legs chopped off, his other remaining arm chopped off, and so that's where he builds his castle. I mean, what would you guys do here?
I thought that was awesome, actually. It just, this happened and I'm going to own it, and I am just going to be this badass guy who sits in the castle and overlooks the place where I lost my legs and I don't even care. That was cool to me.
Well, to me, it seems like he almost became a different person, and he left his past behind, and he's like, well, this planet is kind of like where this me was born, so I'm just going to stay here and become the bad guy that I became here, sort of thing. I guess that's kind of how I take it.
Oh, that's a good
Super
point.
insightful, Susanna. Super insightful.
Mhm.
So yeah, we have that whole layer. I thought the whole the Bacta tank scene of him in there floating, with a respirator on, and the Bacta emptying around him, and then you hear the breathing, and it's like,
And then you start freaking out.
oh, so epic, so epic. I remember just kind of looking over at my wife, like, it was like I was a little girl, or a little boy. I should say, sorry. But yeah, it was just phenomenal. And then we get to a lot of the alien races that we saw. But I think there was one recent Easter egg that I came across. Well, not came across, but I thought about. And that is during 1977's A New Hope, when you have that conference room where Tarkin, Vader, and the other, not only Moffs, but the other maybe Grand Admirals are all sitting, and there's that one empty chair next to Grand Moff Tarkin.
Mhm.
Was it Krennic's?
Right?
Oh. Yeah, I think so.
I mean, there's obviously one person missing from the Death Star because he was killed. And this takes place not long after that battle. So, was it? Gosh, it couldn't be too far after that battle. But I never really tried to figure out the timeline there between the end of that space battle to where we catch up with them on the Death Star. I'm sure someone out there has that precise. It was 1 month and 2 days. But a lot of cool things, like in Saw Gerrera's mountain hideout. On the walls, you saw a lot of small pictures that the crew put on the wall, which is kind of funny. And it's all stuff from Gareth Edwards' former movies. You had a picture of Godzilla. You had these little monster figures that were from his film. I believe that was 2010. But a lot of the small stuff in the background, you really had to pay attention to really catch. And he brought that out too, saying, hey, this is what we caught. This is what I came on the set one day, and there they were in the middle of the take. I noticed, what the heck is this? And they continue to shoot. So pretty cool. So now, did any of you catch the dolls and the toys in Jin's playroom on the very beginning of the movie?
I saw the Stormtrooper, but that one was extremely obvious, I feel like, so you're probably not talking about that one.
Wait, was it a Stormtrooper or a Clone Trooper?
I think it was a Stormtrooper, right? I can't remember.
Yeah. It was a Stormtrooper, and she called it Stormy. So, but what really helps out here is that there is a book, The Visual Guide to Rogue One, and it actually lists all the toys that were in the room. And actually, not only does it list it, but gives pictures of it. And there's a stuffed Loth cat, kind of like in the cats from where Ezra's from Loth. She named Cootie the Tuca, which is kind of weird. There was a Wampa doll, an IG-88 looking figure. That was the assassin droid from Empire Strikes Back, which that's kind of sketchy. I mean, why would she have an assassin droid? So, plus the fact that it's long before IG-88's time. So, There's an R2 series
Oh.
droid in there, an Alderaan cruiser, a TIE fighter, a Jedi cruiser, and an Imperial Star Destroyer. That's just to name a few. There's actually several more, but those are just a few. Kind of interesting how they're throwing in all these little stuffed, not really dolls, but also figurines and ships.
Yeah, from across I think you had mentioned that the Jedi fighter, like Obi-Wan from the prequels with the hyperspace ring. You said that was mentioned in there, right? Like that was in her room.
Yeah, that was also in there. Yeah, complete with the actual hyperspace ring hooked up to it, I guess.
Yeah, so I mean, like
I didn't see that one.
It's exciting to see, like, even in small things, them bringing all the movies together, which they couldn't do before because all the movies hadn't been done. So it's kind of exciting.
Oh, it's awesome how they're throwing in all this stuff. I mean, and the slightest detail, guys are catching up on. I mean, I didn't catch every single detail, but I was catching left and right, kind of going, hey, and I think by the time the movie was over, my wife wasn't too happy with me. But such is life of a nerd, I guess. So I have not found out where Gareth Edwards was in the movie. He did say that it was in the final scenes. I'm thinking maybe he was one of the guys who got cut down by Vader, possibly.
Oh. Yeah, did anybody else see him? Because I didn't see him. No.
No.
Okay. We tried.
Oh, because I heard something that he was supposed to be next to where the Death Star fires, the two guys. I think he was supposed to be one of them, wasn't he?
Oh, that was a couple other guys, actually.
Okay. I knew they had something to do with the production.
Yeah. Good call, though. But we'll get to those guys, too. So.
Okay.
But that planet, how are they pronouncing this? Wobani. The planet Wobani. It's an anagram for Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, there's something very familiar about that name. I was like, oh.
A lot of interesting things. And of course, the typical Star Wars line that seems to surface in every movie is, I have a bad feeling about this. In every movie, they've come out with, that is spoken by one person, and only once during the film. And only one person has actually said it more than once. He's actually said it twice. Anyone have a guess for that?
Solo?
Obi-Wan?
I was going to go with Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan it is. It's a good guess for Solo. I thought it was Solo at first, too, Suzanne. I really did. I was like, I think it was Han Solo, because didn't he say in this one that somebody proved me wrong? And of course, the line from Return of the Jedi, "It's a trap." Saw Gerrera actually said it in his lair. He didn't actually just say it within a sentence. He just kind of stood there and went, "It's a trap."
Didn't they say that in A New Hope when they ran into the trash compactor? It sounds like something they would have said then.
No, they didn't directly say that. It was something a little different, yeah. But Akbar was actually the first one to mutter those words, which is kind of funny, and he's been made fun of ever since. It's a trap. You have those memes on Facebook, where Leia's caressing Han's hand and saying, "Oh baby, it's okay. You don't have to get me anything for Christmas." And then goes to Akbar, "It's a trap." That's Akbar.
No.
And of course, Warwick Davis made his return to Star Wars. He was the guy who played Wicket in Return of the Jedi, as well as Willow. He was Willow in the movie Willow. He played that little teeny guy in Saw Gerrera's militia when they jumped the Imperial tank. He had the
Okay.
Yeah, what was his name? I actually wrote it down here. It was Weetiff Cub. Yeah, however you want to pronounce that.
That just rolls off the tongue.
Right.
Yeah, it looks like Heathcliff. Yeah. So, another cool Easter egg was when on Scarif, the two troopers were discussing the T-15 Skyhopper, the retirement of that model. which when you go back to A New Hope, when Obi-Wan Kenobi had to sneak past those two stormtroopers when disabling the tractor beam, they're discussing the new T-16 ship. So a lot of cool stuff they're tying into. And of course, you had Bail Organa, Jimmy Smits was in it. Great tie-in to basically right before his death, which so sad.
Oh, but when he said, because he was speaking to someone and they said, "Oh, you know a Jedi, right?" And they said, "Oh, do you have someone you can trust with the plans?" And he's talking about his daughter Leia, and he says, "Yeah, I trust her with my life." And you're like, ah. Like, oh my gosh, it's real.
Yeah, I think every geek, who was watching kind of going, that's cool. So, yeah. We all kind of sat there going, yeah, that's badass.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, did you guys see Red 5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Luke, right? That's Luke's ship, right? His X-Wing?
Well, no, it wasn't his X-Wing. That was just a call sign. The guy who was actually flying his Red 5 crashed and burned.
That's right. So maybe not that one.
Yeah. So, with his death, Luke inherits Red 5 when he joins the Rebel Alliance. So, which is kind of funny because during that whole scene, they kept going, Red 5, all right, Red 5. They kept reiterating Red 5 so that, for all the people who weren't nerds, kind of go, oh yeah. But hey, that's kind of cool. They threw all that in. Now I know you weren't watching Star Wars Rebels, Susanna, but
Right.
the Hammerhead Corvettes that they had in the space battle, the ones that during Star Wars Rebels that Princess Leia actually delivered to the Rebel Alliance, we actually saw those flying in the space battle, and actually that was the one that actually ran into the disabled Star Destroyer and destroyed the ring,
Mm-hmm.
the gates, so to speak, to get down to the planet. Tons of stuff. I mean, and of course that whole space battle. You had Red and Gold Leader, who were taken from the original movie in the 1977 New Hope and put into that. And actually, we found out after the movie was released that there was original footage that they never used in A New Hope that they put into here. So they had all this stuff stored up. They went, oh hey, let's use that. Let's use that. So it was kind of cool.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Oh, so is that when you see in their cockpits that's actually from 77?
Yeah.
That's cool. I did not know that.
Are you guys didn't notice those at all?
we really prep for the show. Like we really get into it.
Well, and now what's cool is now technically the Empire Strikes Back has an Easter egg to Rogue One, right? Because in the battle for Hoth, they have the Rogue Squadron, right? Mm-hmm. And so that was named after what these characters were doing, I'm assuming, right?
That's a good point. No one has said so, but that's the huge speculation. Good call there.
Because I think that's cool. I'm just gonna go with that because that would make me happy. So.
No, I mean think about it too. Though there was no Rogue call sign. He said we're Rogue One when they're gonna take off without orders, and so technically there would have been a 1 if that squadron was real. So it seems like Rogue Squadron was created. I mean, it just seems like it makes sense. There's no way around that because it didn't exist before. So, yeah.
Right, there we go. Let's go with that theory. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
Tribute to the crew that got the Death Star plans, possibly.
Yeah, it's a first idea, Hannah.
I think it's a good idea. Now, when you reverse things like that, you also throw another Easter egg into A New Hope, and that is the opening crawl. Do you remember what the opening crawl was? I wrote it down right here. So it says basically this: it is a period of civil war. Rebel spaceships striking from a hidden base, Yavin 4, have won their first victory against the Galactic Empire. During the battle, in space, rebel spies managed to steal secret plans to the Empire's ultimate weapon, the Death Star. That was obviously, Jane. Now you got me saying Jane too. Jyn Erso. That was her crew stealing the plans. The armored space station with enough firepower to destroy an entire planet. Pursued by the Empire's sinister agents, being Darth Vader. Princess Leia races home aboard her starship, which that was like the ejection starship. That was actually the Rebel blockade runner. Custodian of the stolen plans that can save her people and restore freedom to the galaxy. So that's a huge Easter egg, and that was never really intended. But that Rogue One leads into that, which is just so badass, just so cool. When you really go back and look at, especially A New Hope, there's a lot of things that Rogue One is actually confirming or is tying into or explaining even more to. What do you guys even think of that ending?
So good.
The last 10 minutes paid for the movie ticket easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the whole Vader scene, all the guys who were standing in that I don't know what you want to call it, the hallway, who were kind of like turning around, going, "What the heck?" And it's just pitch black, and you hear the breathing, and it's like, it's time, it's time, and yeah, and then all of a sudden he ignites.
That scene.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go. Okay, so that scene reminded me of the opening scene from A New Hope. So instead of like where it's all black, it's like white hallways. I'm like, oh, I've seen that. Like in the beginning of A New Hope. Yeah, but instead it started out with the droids. So that was cool.
Well, that whole scene is what we've all been waiting for. Right. I mean, that scene hit, you just kind of sat there. I'm not even sure I breathed the last 5-10 minutes. Kind of. I was blown away, and everyone in the theater that I went with, that was around me, above, below, the sides, when they heard the breathing, I mean, everyone went nuts. They're going, "Oh my God!" The lightsaber came on, and he just started mowing fools down, and we kind of went, "Oh."
Yeah,
it was not only chilling, but just so spectacular. And basically, I'm just gonna say it, it was beautiful. This is the Vader action we've all been waiting on. So
yeah, and it showed how cold he was. Like how, I don't know. I loved the character displayed in Vader. I feel like this movie solidified Vader for me. Like in this new canon, without having all the extra Legends books. Like this is the one that made me like, okay, so Vader is this type of person. He goes to Mustafar to look at his previous life, and he comes in here, and I know I'm gonna get super geeky, but seeing the lightsaber fighting, the style that Vader used there, is a lot more reminiscent of Anakin, and so it felt more like, oh yeah, that's right, this is Anakin Skywalker who became Darth Vader. I don't know, man. It was like, because you see that style 5 is what Anakin uses in the Clone Wars series and the movie, and you see kind of how he deflects lasers, Vader, in this, and it's just like that, and it feels reminiscent of that. So you get more of that idea that they couldn't have done in 4, 5, and 6, where you understand that Anakin was in there. Like Vader is based in the training that Anakin received, and you feel that more in this movie. So I mean, that I know it was 10 seconds or however long that scene was where he was fighting the rebels, but I don't know, that changed my perception of Darth Vader right there.
Whatever it was not long enough.
Yeah.
No. Should have been, I could have just watched an entire movie of him just working his way down hallways.
Wow.
I think that's the next movie.
Yes, I'm so on board with that.
There is a sequel to this. You do know that, right?
No, what's it called?
It's called A New Hope.
No way. I did not know that.
Oh my gosh.
Kind of reeled that one in.
That's beautiful. That's
and one of the final Easter eggs we really got in this movie was hair buns.
Yeah.
I mean, when that guy walked in there and you saw the back of the head with the white robe, the white hood, kind of went, and there she was. Most of it was, CGI, of course, but it was brilliantly done. But the other person who not only had some good CGI, but was brilliantly done was Grand Moff Tarkin. We haven't talked about him. I mean, what did you guys think about bringing old Boneface back?
I didn't know he was CGI at the time. I thought it was the same actor because he looked older than he did in the first trilogy. And I was like, oh, that's the same guy. And then I was talking with Hannah earlier today, and she's like, no, that's actually CGI. I'm like, how? What? I just thought that was cool. And then with Leia, too, at CGI, like, I don't know how they did that. Oh, okay. Technology, okay.
I liked how it was done. I actually liked how it does. There were people who complained about it, but I think it looked good. And when you actually Google the actor, what they could have even done is just applied some, basic makeup prosthetics to him because he's not far off from them. But I thought the whole CGI effect was actually done pretty well.
Yeah, because I knew he had passed away, and so when I was watching it, I'm looking at his eyes, and I'm like, he looks like Dobby. Like, oh, because he's CGI. Okay.
That's pretty good.
I know it's random thought, but that's the thing that I thought of. Because I was like, I didn't hear anything he said for the first minute he was on screen. I'm just looking at him like, wait, no, he's not. No, that's not him. Obviously, what's going on? So, yeah.
Well, I like the fact that they did not put him or even hint to him in the previews and the trailers, anything. So when he stepped on screen, it was like, ooh, yes. This, God, how they did him, how they did Vader, the entire cast really, I think pulled together something very brilliant here under the direction, of course, under Gareth, and that was it was superb. I thought the cast was awesome. They blended well. It wasn't too cheese. It wasn't like the prequels where it was overly kind of childish in some cases. You didn't have this whiny little brat. It's cold in space. You didn't have sand gets everything. It's so coarse. This was done so much better. This is the Star Wars movie that we've been waiting for. And of course, I mentioned that in my review online. If you haven't seen it, go read it.
I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, so you gotta go see it. And if you listen to this if you watch this entire podcast and you didn't see the movie, shame on you. I gave it a 5 stars out of 5 stars. Johnny, what did you give it?
Oh yeah, 5 out of 5.
Anna, what about you?
Yeah, definitely 5. I'd give it 6. Am I allowed to do 6?
That's overshooting. But we'll allow it. We'll allow it. Susanna?
4.5.
Boo!
Yeah. Okay, why is here again? So, any other Easter eggs you guys wanted to mention?
Well, we didn't talk about Black Saber.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Please talk about that.
Well, yeah. So there was when the file was being searched for by Jane and the captain, when they landed on the last scene, there's different file names that they have to search through, and one of them, before they get to Stardust, which is one they were looking for. If you haven't seen the movie, which I hope you have, one of them was Black Saber, and instantly brings to mind. There's an ancient Jedi artifact that is a black lightsaber, for lack of a better term, and the Mandalorians stole it. A dark saber. I'm sorry, I called it Black Saber. Dark saber with a black lightsaber blade, basically, which it shoots off into the history of before the Republic, and it's not necessarily a really powerful lightsaber or anything, but it brings up all those feelings of, oh, what happened before, what happened 1,000 years ago, what happened 1,500 years ago, and that's what I'm hoping to see. But it's a file name, so honestly, it could be about anything. And we know that Darth Maul has it at this moment, right? When this movie comes out.
No, actually, Sabine picked it up.
Oh, okay, so I mean, it could be about Sabine.
Maybe,
I don't know.
Yeah, what happened in the either last or second to last episode of Star Wars Rebels is that it was there in Maul's hideout in the Night Sister cave. It was dueled with, but it was dropped, and then Sabine actually picked it up.
Wow.
So a former Death Watch woman actually now has it. So hopefully she sticks with it. I don't know. But that brings up a good point in the whole Darksaber, and that is where some of this might be going with Star Wars Rebels. Simon and I have speculated where Star Wars Rebels might go. We've speculated what this new supposed cartoon they might be talking about. Now, I know we really haven't discussed it with you guys too much. Simon and I talk about it a lot because we're super nerds, just like you guys are. But we haven't openly discussed it, on the podcast with you guys. So let's go round table. I mean, if you had to pick an era or a time frame, or we'll even say a specific character that they would do a series about, who would you want to see, or what time frame would you want to see? Start with Johnny.
For me, I mean, that's the Darksaber leads that way. Is the Old Republic, or I mean, the Knights of the Old Republic. There's a bunch of video games and lore from about 1,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, and that entire there's a war between Sith and Jedi. There's a Jedi named Darth Revan. You notice I call him Darth because he was also a Sith. And he has a back and forth play that I don't think any other character in the Star Wars universe has, where he was on light side, he was dark side. But all of that is legends now. So there's nothing. Like, I want to see what Disney wants to say. This is officially what happened 1,000 years ago. And I love a cartoon or a Netflix series, something about that time period.
That would be really cool.
I think you and I are on the same time frame. We want to see that the Knights of the Old Republic, just because we're talking major Sith and major Jedi action. There's a whole lot of lightsabers, and that's just, that excites me to no end. Hannah, what do you think?
I think we all know what my answer is on this, but I want Darth Vader, specifically the Darth Vader from Vader Down. Have any of you read that?
Mm-mm.
I read part of it.
Okay, so that's what I want. I would be really excited for that. And if I can't have, go ahead.
What time period is that one in?
It takes place between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, so it's kind of like stuff that we've already done. But I would like more Vader, especially after that end scene, obviously. So just for him to have his own series or movies or whatever, I would be really excited about that.
Okay, so Hannah wants to see lots of death, destruction, and Sith action.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Susanna, what about you?
Same here. Anything Darth Vader. I'm not too familiar with anything outside the movies. I've only read like a few books, Star Wars books, so I'm not that familiar with anything else. But more Darth Vader would be awesome.
All right. So the two girls want to see a huge black dude wave around a light sword. And,
yes.
Yeah. Death and destruction. Awesome. So that's. What do you think in terms of, so we talked about what kind of a series you would want to see. The girls want to see more Darth Vader. Johnny and I want to see more Knights of the Old Republic. I know Simon wants his scum and villainy. So, I'm sure Simon's looking forward to the Boba Fett standalone movie. And I know Simon was looking forward to maybe seeing a little Cad Bane in Rogue One, which we didn't see, which is unfortunate. Cad Bane was a bounty hunter who he was in the Clone Wars. Really good bounty hunter, really cool. And Prince Zizor, he just sent a little text. So the man behind the scene right now. So, but so now that we have Rogue One out of the way, where in terms of where do you see the franchise headed after Rogue One? We know we have next year, we have episode 8. After that, we have the standalone Han Solo movie. Then we have episode 9, which is supposed to basically end the original Star Wars saga, the Skywalker. Okay, calm down. I saw that. But that's supposed to end, episode 1 through 9 is supposed to be, the Skywalker saga, basically. And after that, they're supposed to go on to other things. They talked about the whole Boba Fett standalone movie, which would end us at 2020. So as far as the franchise, where do you see us going from here?
Well, I have an interesting postulation. After seeing Tarkin, do you think Han Solo will be CGI'd to look like Harrison Ford the whole film?
That would be interesting.
That's a good question. I had not thought about that until just now.
I know.
I'm hoping not. I only say that is if maybe they'll bring Harrison Ford back towards the end of that movie, maybe. But even then, I mean, he's getting kind of up there in age, so it'd be kind of hard to do the movie with him. But they have a decent actor assigned, so that's a good question, Johnny. I mean, we'll have to we'll put that out there to everyone else too. I mean, Hannah, what do you think?
I don't know. Wasn't there talk about possibly an Obi-Wan movie at some point? I think they might do that, and that would be really cool. But honestly, I would be really happy if they would either move forward or go way back to the Old Republic and just using completely new characters and just outside of anything that we've seen up to this point, just completely new. I think that would be kind of cool, like kind of what they did with Force Awakens, introducing Rey and Poe Dameron and Finn, but I don't know what that would look like.
So you want, as far as franchise go, you want something that's basically brand new,
right? Or Obi-Wan, yeah. Or as we said earlier, Darth Vader. But yeah.
Well, it's funny because you mentioned Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's been one of the most requested topics for a movie, and one of the ones that they speculated, I think, for the most is an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, which there is a lot of talk about that right now, actually. But if you want to read a good book about Kenobi, you go read Kenobi. It's considered Legends. It's not official canon, unfortunately. It's a great book. It tells about his time of exile on Tatooine. Really cool book. But that alone right there, that book alone would be a great basis for that movie. So it's cool that you mentioned Obi-Wan Kenobi for a standalone, and it's neat that over the past, I guess, 6 months, they've really even been talking about this more and more. So what about you, Susanna?
Yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi would be cool. Boba Fett, Mandalorian, that type of thing. And I was thinking maybe a movie that came in between the time period of Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. Somewhere that happens in between that. I don't know what that would be, but that'd be cool. So just to fill in that time gap.
Yeah, you want to see that 30-year-old time gap, basically.
Yeah.
Get narrowed down. Okay, I think that's actually a pretty good idea too. So there's a ton of stuff that they can pull from. I mean, there's been books in between Empire and Return, Shadows of the Empire. There's a book, about how Leia pursued Boba Fett trying to get Han back, but obviously that didn't work out for her. So with all these Easter eggs, we've talked about where we would like to see the franchise go. We've talked about, if we had our own wish, what movies we'd like to see. Now, as far as comics, I know, Hannah, you've been reading some of the comics. Johnny, have you been reading the comics that came out?
Honestly, the most recent one I read was Leia finding all the Alderaanians, all the people from Alderaan that were not there when it blew up. That fascinated me how it was written, but I haven't been too keeping up with that.
Okay. Susanna, did you catch any of them?
No, I haven't read any Star Wars comics yet, so. Hannah just loaned me Vader Down, so I want to try reading those now.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I need to finish that one actually, which is kind of sad I haven't finished that. But let's give some final thoughts of what we thought. What's your impression of Rogue One overall? What was your highlight? And if any, did you have any downfalls? What didn't you like about the movie? And be careful there. Be very careful. Johnny, go ahead.
My favorite part, I love seeing people look at the Force in different ways. And so, seeing the monk, doing his mantra and seeing the Force, not as a Jedi, seeing the Force, not as a Jedi, but as someone, an onlooker. Some people have said that he doesn't really understand the Force. Some people have said he gets it in a different way. Whatever that is, I thought it was really fun they explored that a little bit, and I hope to see more of that in the future. And I think they're willing to do that. Downfall, I think I don't speak for anyone else, but I feel like the introductory scene didn't connect us enough to the characters. It was a lot of time that they used for introducing us to Jyn Erso and her family, and that scene, I feel like they could have done a lot better. And I gave this a 5 out of 5 rating, so nobody get angry at me. But for somebody dying and for that whole scenario, I feel like it was played in a way that I didn't connect with. And maybe that's me. Maybe that's how it was filmed. But I wasn't a huge fan of that introductory scene.
Okay. And that's also where that preview book comes into play, Catalyst. I mean, you don't really need to read the book to see the movie, but it helps a little bit in terms of learning who Galen and his wife are. You don't really learn who Jyn is. I mean, you don't really learn who Jyn is in the first 10 minutes of the movie, anyways. But you learn a lot more the backstory, like the relationship between Orson and Krennic specifically. So, and why his wife hates Krennic so much. So. But Hannah, what are your highlights and lows, if any?
Oh, highlights. I really liked the mood of it. I liked that it was a darker and more gritty and had a more realistic feel to it. I loved the scale, just getting to see not only the vastness of the Star Wars universe. We saw more planets in this than I think we had ever in any of the other Star Wars movies, possibly combined, which I thought was cool. And then getting to see just how big the Star Destroyers were, and you think, oh, those are huge. And then up against the Death Star, and you're like, whoa, and just kind of showing how impressive that entire universe is. I really enjoyed that. Downfalls, I felt like a lot of the characters were underdeveloped. I really liked I can't pronounce his name, the blind character, and his whole I'm one with the Force and the Force is with me, and the mantra and all of that, and his friends. But I didn't feel like we got enough of them. And there wasn't really enough time to either, so I understand that. But some of the characters, it felt like there could have been so much done with them, and they just it fell flat a little bit. But still, there were some great characters like Jyn and Cassian that were really cool. So yeah.
I keep getting all these
I know,
messages.
I see.
Yeah.
So yeah, Simon loved the fact that and we all kind of knew they were going to die in the movie. We had this hope that, yeah, maybe they'll survive. And actually, there's the behind the scenes that a lot of the guys are talking about is that initially they were going to survive. But that's where a lot of these rewrites came into place. They wanted to end it, and give a good ending. And so Simon brings up a good point, is that they kind of had to die to really get this out. And it makes perfect sense of all their deaths, really. I mean, they went, and I joked at the very beginning of this podcast, and that was, this was Lucasfilm's version of Suicide Squad, and it truly was. They went in.
They're even more successful.
Oh yeah, and they went in. They knew what the stakes were, and they were okay with that. So, and like the two guys, Boz and Chitwith, or whatever you call the blind monk, they're supposed to be getting their own book, so their own comic. So that should be pretty cool too. So, Susanna, what were your highs and lows?
Highs. So I liked the music, the soundtrack, and I'll be doing a post on this soon. But I was kind of impressed with the film score. Michael Giacchino did a good job. And I liked how the style and the overall feel of the soundtrack was a lot like John Williams. There was some parts to the music that reminded me of the scenes on Tatooine in A New Hope, like the different instruments that were used. I liked the end credits. They were very much similar. The main theme, the way the movie started out, I was like, they warped it. But, it's supposed to be different. It's a standalone thing, so I liked that. And my lows, again, I'll go with Hannah and saying the characters weren't as developed, but they were supposed to die. The humor, it seemed like they were trying to be funny, and they weren't really. So I think that's pretty much it. And it was kind of serious. It wasn't as lighthearted as I was kind of expecting it to be, but
okay.
It's a tragedy. So
yeah, that's true. Those are great points, though. And I guess I should have known your high point being the score. So, which is, I agree with you. The score was phenomenal. My highs were, oh man, it's kind of hard to pick. I'm like a kid in a candy shop. Oh, what is it? But I'm a huge fan of was it KS-20? The new droid, Alan Tudyk. I'm a big fan of Alan Tudyk as it is, because he was in Firefly and Serenity, one of my favorite movies and one of my favorite TV shows. I thought the sense of humor that the droid had was phenomenal. It was the anti-C-3PO. The polar opposite, C-3PO going, oh my god, we're gonna die. He's just going, this is what we're gonna do. I thought he was voiced so well, especially when Dylan shot the one version of him, and he walked up behind him going, did you know that wasn't me? Kind of like, oh, okay. So I thought that humor was pretty good. I love the introduction of a lot of new aliens and kind of mercenaries, like on Saw Gerrera's militia. The ending, the ending was just phenomenal. It sounds like Johnny's having a fist fight with something.
The technical difficulties. Sorry.
The ending, like I said before, I was probably holding my breath way too much in the last several minutes of the film. I love the characters. I loved, how the characters really combined and came together. My low, I'm probably gonna agree with Johnny when that was the beginning, but for a different reason. I am a traditionalist when it comes to Star Wars, and I like my scroll. I understand it's not part of episodes 1 through 9, but really it is. It ties everything in. It ties the prequels. It ties Clone Wars. It ties Star Wars Rebels. It all that stuff into Episode 4. It takes all that and just dumps it in there. So I would have loved to have seen a scroll. I knew it was going to happen. They all said it wasn't going to happen, but yeah, that's those are my highs and lows. So.
Okay.
Let's go across the board and where they can find you guys. Johnny, you still with us?
Yes, vaguely.
Okay.
There we go.
Where can they find you on social media?
If you type KOPIJO into the internet, you will find me.
Okay.
Twitter, Google Plus, everything. That's my tagline, except Instagram. Some Slovakian guy is on there, so don't find me there. But everything else, Kopi Joe.
I feel like we're watching an episode of Taken. Where are you going, Johnny? Do they have you?
Help! I'm gonna head into the bed real quick. Okay.
Yeah, I will find you.
Yes, Kopi Joe, anywhere.
Okay. Hannah, where can I find you?
Well, I'm going to follow Johnny's leads here. If you go onto the internet, type in Hannah Heath, you can find me.
She's
dominating
famous.
the front page. Yes, I'm very proud. So hannahheathwriter.com. You can find me on Twitter at _Hannah Heath. And anywhere else, just leave me comments or send me tweets. It can be about anything. But if it's about Darth Vader, then you get priority. So yeah, come say hello.
Awesome. Susanna, where can I find you?
I'm not too big out there. Just type in AT with Tumnus with the A before it. That's my Twitter username, and that's linked to my blog on there. And then you can find all my other social media on my blog. So that's where you'll find me.
We can find Simon at C_collectible on his Twitter account, as well as over at the main site, constantcollectible.com. You can find me, Goody, over at Chad Griffin 12 on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram at DJ Kilt, as well as just Chad Goodwin on Facebook. So, but also please come check our website out, constantcollectible.com. We have lots of cool information. We're all there. And actually, who you see today is actually our entire crew, besides Simon, who is behind the cameras on all of them. He is managing the sound today, and unfortunately, he is sick and doesn't have much of a voice. So he is not with us verbally, but he is there behind the scenes, I promise you. So, but please come check our website out. Yes, he is here in spirit. Thank you. I'm getting yelled at through text messages. But come check our website out. And if you have any suggestions of something you'd like to see on the website, something you'd like us to talk about and spoil it, feel free to mention it here underneath the video here. Just type it in, press send. We always read everything. And if you have a comment about the movie, something that you loved about it, leave it. We will be back in January, the first week of January. We're going to take next week off to be with our our prospective families. We will not be with each other because we just kind of we leave the office, we never come back. So I am Chad Goodwin, and please sign off, everybody.
All right.
Bye everybody.
That was fun. See you guys later.
And thanks
See
for
you in
being
a
with us.
galaxy far, far away.